that item 11A, the approval of the city's budget, will be deferred from this meeting to the next due to a delay in our fire truck, and we do have to go back and amend the budget. So we will not be approving the next budget and the tax rate this evening. But if anyone does want to talk to the board about the budget, you can step to the podium and state your name for the record. And I think there's a sign-in sheet up there.
Hi, guys. I'm Lana Hillis. I am the director of the Warren County Senior Center. I do apologize. I was not at your last meeting a couple of weeks ago whenever you were discussing the amounts because I was in Washington meeting with congressmen about monies coming down through the Older Americans Act. I was asked to represent Tennessee at some NCOA meetings, and so I felt like that was very important to get to go and represent the state. So I do apologize that I wasn't here. I was watching, but I wasn't here. So first off, I just wanted to say that's why I wasn't here to discuss some of the needs of our funding. I do appreciate everything that y'all have done for us in the past. We've had a very successful year being at our new location. I know some of you have been over and seen our beautiful site. If you've not came, I'd love for y'all to come again and see. We're currently serving 2,355 members. Those are members of the community, whether they be in the county and or the city, that are 60 and older. So far this year, from July 1 through, actually, I ran this report this afternoon to get it as updated as I could. We have provided 116,940 unduplicated services. So that means nothing is cross-referenced. That's one service. Each thing counts, so that is there. And we have served 23,418 meals. Our meals are served on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're currently averaging roughly 200 people per day. So I just want to let you know, we're filling up the place. We are full, and if we had 10,000 more square feet, we'd use it. So anyway, but I just wanted to give you an update and appreciate everything that you can do for the center. We did request $35,000. That does help within the center. We do receive funding from the county, of course, the city, Bridgestone Firestone grant, our contract through the development district, and through the development district for our senior center services. So that 35 that we've requested, I do understand that y'all are looking at 30,000. We would appreciate if there's any extra, we would love it, but that is very much appreciated for the center. I just wanted to see if y'all had any questions for me that might partake. We did have a very successful yesterday. As you know, some of you may have known that the First Lady of Tennessee was in our center yesterday, and we served over 300 seniors yesterday. They did receive new pairs of shoes, and it was her project through Tennessee Serves. So that's upcoming kindergarten through 6th grade came in and helped serve lunch and helped seniors get new shoes yesterday. So it was wild and crazy, but it was good. But anyway, I just wanted to check and see if any of y'all had questions for me about our center, what we may do, and just say thank you.
So the services you do, I think we've heard it for the past. You
Yes.
do the Medicare, Medicaid. And
Yes,
home services.
we do everything. Anything from congregate meal sites to, I've done home visits to, we do anything from technology classes to exercise classes. Of course, bingo, we do lunch and learns that are, those are supported through businesses throughout the city and the county, whether it be a financial class through one of the banks, whether it be home health services. They may come in and talk about mental health with our members. It could be anything like that. The hospital, anybody like that comes in, we feed them on those days. We do different programs. We have added a couple of things. We are doing a sign language class that we currently have 10 people that's learning. We have some members that are hard of hearing, but we've had seniors reach out to want to learn this class. So they are learning sign language. We do around the world. We've done a little bit of everything from line dancing to shooting pool. So everything that we do is free of charge throughout the center. So no senior has to choose whether they want a cup of coffee or whether they eat a meal or whether they get to come to a financial class or even a technology class, whether it be about a smartphone, smart TVs, Kindles. We did win Our center did win a Trailblazer Award this past year for the state of Tennessee for offering Kindle classes. If our members come through and complete the 7 sessions, they do leave with a 10.1 inch screen Kindle with a hardcover. I received a grant through the National Council on Aging to supply those Kindles for those members. So they're learning anything from telehealth to how to email, or even how to do online shop and pickups. So there's numerous things. So it could be anything that they want to do, day trips to just socialization. Anybody else got any questions? I do invite you out, but I do appreciate any amount of funding that we can get from you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Pirtle, do I have the executive authority to push back the full board meeting start time 15 minutes to hear?
Sure.
Yeah, we'll continue this public hearing and begin the full board meeting at 7:15. So if any other organizations wish to address the board, we'll have 15 more minutes.
Good evening, I'm Melissa Mullins with the Chamber of Commerce, and we sincerely appreciate being included in this year's nonprofit appropriation budget discussion. To my understanding, the Chamber is currently slated to receive $12,000 of nonprofit funding and $5,500 in membership dues from the city. At the last meeting, there was a discussion of a total allocation of $40,000 for the Chamber, with $12,000 from nonprofit appropriations and $28,000 from the tourism budget to support the visitor center and chamber tourism initiatives. We respectfully request clarification. Is the full $40,000 still under consideration, and/or will the chamber receive the tourism-related portion of those funds?
I don't know,
Okay.
but that's just coming from me. But again, there's not gonna be any discussion about that this evening anyway, but, that's still for the rest of the board to consider.
Okay. We would respectfully ask for reconsideration of nonprofit appropriation funds, if that is not the case. We're proud to partner with the city. We're glad to be the visitor center, and we look forward to doing so continually. Thank you.
I think, Melissa, the biggest question is like, what exactly is that $28,000 being asked for to be?
$20,000 of it was for facilities maintenance, along with staffing, anything to keep the visitor center open, electricity, building payments, things like that is lumped into that. There was $7,500 for swag or merchandise that we would like to do for locally branding and get that in the visitor center, so we do look like a full visitor center. And then $500 for relocation visitor mailings.
Okay, when you say facilities maintenance, what do you mean?
Just anything to keep the doors open, whether that's from the lights, the building, we have to do flowers, we have pest control, just a percentage of that to help with that.
Okay, and you're talking about the building over here?
The
Like just
chamber.
the chamber
Mhm.
building, okay. Okay, yeah, that's gonna have to be a discussion that we have later on, because, I mean, to me, facility, well, I don't know, it's very complicated what those tourism dollars can be used for. And I don't know the answer to that right now. I don't think that we can speak to that in such a short amount of time. So we're gonna have to have further discussion about that and go from there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I just, before you leave, just to clarify, because I'm gonna have to reference my notes afterwards. So you're asking for 40,000 in total?
We were asking for 67,000.
You were
Total.
asking for 67, and then,
And then it was, I think it came up in discussion at the last meeting of 40,000 amount, with 12,000 being considered from the appropriations, and then 28,000 being considered from tourism.
okay.
There were 3 specific things that were line items, and they had tourism out beside them. That's where that 28,000 came from.
Correct, it's for the facilities and the merchandise and then the mailings.
I thought we said it was for visitors, I thought it was other things that we discussed, but yes, I'll have to reference my notes as well. from the
It's to
last-
serve in the capacity of the visitor center, yes.
And the 12,000 is for which is separate from the 28,000 for tourism.
That was just what was discussed at the last meeting.
Okay, I didn't know if you had
Yeah.
a specific reason, okay.
Well, she's pretty detailed in what she's sending in on, as far as when she sent all that paperwork in. So you can go back and look at that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Christy Stubblefield, the Director of Families in Crisis, and we just wanted to thank you all for the opportunity to be able to apply for funding for the city. It is so often that we sometimes forget that some of you all may not have been to our organization or encountered us out in the public when we're serving a client. So we just wanted to be here if any of you had any questions about our application, and then invite you all, if you all ever wanted to come to our facilities, to be able to come and do that. City funding is very, very important to our organization. We serve over 600 a year through all of our services. Currently, in the last 3 months, we've provided over 500 bed nights for victims in our shelter. However, our shelter is not the only program that we have. We offer our court services, we offer transportation, food boxes, helping with jobs, and other advocacy opportunities for our clients. We have also just proudly opened our new sexual assault center across the street to fill a gap for sexual assault survivors when there is no one at our local hospital to provide those exams. Do you all have any questions for us or any questions about our application?
I want to thank you for all you've done over the years as that's grown.
It is very confidential. Again, we're not always able to publicize on social media what we do. So I wanted to just take this time to offer the opportunity, if you ever want to come in private into our facility, to please reach out to us. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. Anybody else? We've got about 7 more minutes.
As a former elected official, I just want to remind the board that as you move forward with the budget, in the past and over the years, we need to reconsider basically the status or the clarification of where Main Street Industrial Development Board and the Chamber of Commerce lie in the category of nonprofits. Those are economic development tools that are used by the city and the county to promote job creation and reinvestment, not only in our downtown, but across our community. And so once upon a time, some of these categories have been redefined and reclassified, but I just think that putting those entities under a nonprofit status, I know the IDB is a little bit different, but it needs to be reevaluated as far as moving forward is on funding these mechanisms that help promote not only our downtown, but our entire community as far as tourism and job creation. I mean, Main Street McMinnville comes under economic, community, and development according to the state of Tennessee. That's not nonprofit, that's economic and community development. So I just want to clarify that and make sure that the board is aware that, you know, we need to look at this a little bit closer when we look at funding for these mechanisms that help promote what we do as a community moving forward.
Thank you, sir. If there's no further comments, we'll consider this public hearing closed. Thank you. It is 7:15. We will call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the McMinnville City Board of Mayor and Aldermen. The first item on the agenda is roll call.
Sally Braun.
Present.
Deidre Dunlap.
Present.
Steve Harvey.
Here.
Rachel Kirby.
Here.
Carrie Morton.
Here.
Kara Youngblood.
Here.
Mayor Chastain.
Present. Item 2 is consideration of minutes. Each member of the board should have received those in their agenda packets. If there are no requests for additions, corrections, or deletions, I'll entertain a motion to dispense with their reading and approve them as read.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Deidre Dunlap.
Second.
Second by Ms. Rachel Kirby. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Item 3 is recognition of visitors. If anyone wishes to address the board, please approach the podium and state your name for the record. Hearing none, item 4 is recognition of employees. We have several department heads here this evening. If anyone wishes to offer recognition, come on up.
Every year, the water department, we attend the Tennessee Association of Utility Districts Operator Expo, and this year, every year they honor operators with the Operators of the Year. So this year, Mr. Heath Collins got Distribution Operator of the Year. He does a great job, proud of him. He keeps everything flowing and going for the city, so just wanted to recognize him tonight.
And I want to say thank you to everybody for letting me run the water maintenance department. Nolan, Ricky, this is not only for me, this is for the men of the water maintenance department, okay? It takes a team to do this, to make one man shine. Without them,
Amen.
I couldn't have done it, okay?
We
Thank
appreciate
y'all.
all you do, and you're held in very high regard by your employees and the rest of the city. So thank you for your service, and congratulations on that award.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 5, communications. Item 5A is a request from Main Street, McMinnville, to use the Park Theater as an alternate location and waive fees for Main Street Live on the dates of June 20th and July 18th. Additionally, if the park is unavailable, they will request the venue on August the 1st. Anything with that, Justin?
I spoke to Jennifer Meredith and Joe Harvey, and the dates, those dates are good with Joe, so it's good.
All right. Is there a
They
mo-
could have used this last weekend, couldn't they?
Yeah, they could have, right, yeah.
Why is it just those two?
She,
I'm just
it was
curious.
two specifically that, two concerts,
Usually it's because of the deposit, like it's
Yeah.
a really high
Right.
risk, so they don't want to lose that.
right, that's correct. So again, those dates are available. Joe said he's just went ahead and blocked them off, so it should be good.
Is there a motion to approve that letter?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sally Brock, a second by Ms. Carrie Morton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Item 6 is petitions. There are none. Item 7 is unfinished business. Does any member of the board have any unfinished business this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, new business. Item 8A is a presentation by Mr. Mark Farley, Executive Director of the UCDD.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me come and speak to you a little bit tonight. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't stop just a second. You know, we do a lot of programs through the Development District, a lot of them dealing with the aging population. We've got great senior centers all throughout the region. If I put them right here, Atlanta's operation is through the drop ceiling.
Amen.
I'm gonna tell you what, there is not another senior center that compares to what she's doing, and my hat's off to her, so I just wanted to say that as we get started today. I wanna also say, I'm not only the executive director of the Upcoming Development District, but also of the Upcoming Human Resource Agency. And take just a second to tell who we are. We are regional entities. We were created by the Tennessee General Assembly back in the late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in that time frame. And our job is to help cities and counties administer programs that it doesn't make sense for them to do individually. So from Upcoming Human Resources, UCHRA, let me just put it that way. Public transportation. we do that on behalf of all 14 counties. It makes sense. It doesn't make sense for each individual city or community to do that. So that's what we are at the Development District. We are owned and operated by you, the cities and counties. There's 14 counties and 31 cities that are our bosses. Mayor Chastain and County Mayor Bell, they are the two people I report to when it comes to Warren County and the city of McMinnville. So we do work for you. What we're trying to do is look at the housing stock throughout the region and trying to improve that situation. And what we really try and do is look and see if there's particular groups of people who are not being served, that's not having their needs met. And one that has kept popping up over the last several years is those individuals who are in recovery and struggling to find some place to live while they rebuild their life. So I was asked to come. I've been working with several people in the community, Brad Price from the Recovery Corps, Sheila Fan from Home, some from the faith community. We've had some great meetings. We actually had a couple of the aldermen with us at our last meeting there, and they asked me to come and speak tonight about transitional housing. And I want to just take a second, because we have started a couple transitional homes, and I want to just talk a little bit about that. And at the end of the night, I just want to sort of see, is this something you're interested as a city and would want us to look at pursuing? You know, a transitional home, I think it's important to understand what that is. It is not a treatment program. What we have designed in the other communities, and we've got two, we started out with the city of Smithfield, and we've got a home there that can handle 8 women. And then we have a home in South Carthage in Smith County that is designed for men. And it also, I think it holds 9 people. And a lot of that depends on the zoning of the community, and the home obviously plays a part in that as well. But those are the size programs we're talking about. They're not treatment programs. We do not provide any treatment at all. This is for those individuals who's gone through treatment and they're in active recovery, they're trying to rebuild their life. They're trying to work, they're trying to be productive. But in our day and time, with the housing market the way it is, they're really struggling to find some place to live while they rebuild themselves. And what we try and do is put together a situation that's safe for them to live in. Hopefully by putting like-minded people together and having some support around them, they're less tempted to fall back into that previous life. And we also allow them to build up some money. You know, we have structured it. They still pay towards the rent and the cost of living there. But we really work with them in their budgets to make sure that they're able to put money back. And our goal is, within a couple of years, to get them moved out into traditional housing. Somewhere on their own. Hopefully, they're able to do that in a couple of years' time. So we've done this in a couple communities, and we've done it a couple different ways. The one we did in Smithfield was actually a grant we wrote for the city of Smithfield. They technically are the grantee and the owner of that home, but there was absolutely no cost. The grant paid for everything, and then we came in and we have signed an operating agreement, and we operate, so we collect the rent and we use that then to cover all the expenses. And the city is not out anything. We've not asked them to pay a dime through this whole process. In that situation, if somewhere down the road we realized that it needed to cease being this type of arrangement, it is owned by that city, and after I think 7-year time period, they can do whatever they want to with it. So that's an option. That's what they elected to do. In South Carthage, we work with Judge Beller, the General Sessions judge down there in the Recovery Court, and they preferred that we apply for it through a nonprofit we have under the umbrella of UCDD, and we did that and was able to get grants. Once again, did not cost the community anything. We're operating it, but we work very closely with Judge Bellers and the mayors down there to make sure they understand everything going on and that it runs smoothly. What we try and do, we try and look strategically where to locate these. I'm going to be honest, we realize sometimes that might be a hot button issue in some communities. So what we do, we try and locate properties that make sense. So in Smithfield, we were able to find a location that adjoined their public housing. So it worked really well in town, easily accessible to all resources, just like public housing is. In South Carthage, we were able to locate next to a very large church that can lend support as well. We try to locate close to churches if at all possible so they can provide the spiritual support these individuals need. So that's sort of outlining what we've done. One of them, like I said, for men, one for women. What we've done, I also said I oversee UCHRA. We've started some recovery support programs there. So we have certified peer recovery specialists in all 14 counties. You have one here in Warren County that all their job is to work with people in recovery, trying to make sure they stay on that road to recovery. So we've got that support network in all communities that can support these homes and make sure that any individual living there can have what they need taken care of. There is not a funding stream open right now, but odds are sometime in the next year, there'll be a grant cycle come back open again. My question is to this body, since I technically work for you, is this something that you're interested in? You know, what I'd like to do in a perfect world is start working on that application today. We've worked on them before, we know what they look like, we know what we need. What we would like to do is do a lot of prep work ahead of time, get that ready to go in case that grant application opens, and we don't have to be scrambling at that time. It will also allow us the opportunity to be systematic about how we approach this. So we can look through the communities, we can get some ideas on where maybe to locate that. What we did in Smithfield is Mayor Miller up there appointed a couple members of the council for us to work with. And what we did, we would float locations, talked about different spots within the city. Did they like that or did they not like it? Did they see red flags or not? And it worked really well. We had a great working relationship there, and as far as I know, it's running smooth with no issues. So that's really my question for you tonight. Is that something you'd like for us to pursue? Or if it's something you want to continue to look at and maybe answer more questions, I'll be glad to do that as well. So,
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
okay, that's an easy answer right there. So what we can do, we'll start working on the groundwork of what that looks like. When it gets a little bit closer to the time, if it looks like they're about to release the applications, I may come back or approach Mayor Chastain and see if there's a couple on the council you might like to appoint sort of as liaisons. That worked really well in Smithfield, and I think it would probably work really well here. And it'll allow us just to say, here's what we're thinking, and you give us the feedback. So, and the other thing too, but actually in Smithfield, by doing that, the city council member found a home that wasn't even on the market. They knew people that had assets and would be interested in selling it, and they actually brought us one that we didn't have access to. So it really worked good from that standpoint. Any questions I can answer?
Who would be the point of contact at UCDD for that? Is that you, or would it be Tommy or something?
But it could be either one, but generally on these, I'm taking the point of contact, just because they get somewhat controversial. And what we did, let me go ahead and explain a little bit more what we did up there. Obviously, it was a new concept, Smithfield. So we had a public hearing, sort of like what you had earlier tonight. Invited the public to come in. We answered all the questions, tried to appease everything there. So, I mean, obviously, that's what we try and do. And on a situation like this, I sort of try and take the lead to make sure, especially if it's something that might have some opposition to it. So.
Sure. No, we'll definitely be in contact about that. I think that's a wonderful idea.
All right. If no other questions, I've got one other thing, and I don't really want to go, I've not got something here to go through, but I wanted to share with you. Because when we talked, you talked about housing in general. Let me get you to start a couple there. Now, the first thing I'm passing around is a report that the Sycamore Institute put out. And I know you're probably no different than any other community in the Upper Cumberland. You're struggling to have enough housing. Is that fair assessment? That first report, the one that says Sycamore Institute, that is a nonpartisan think tank in Nashville that did a very detailed look in it. That's not a hard report to read. I'll just give you that as reference. They do a really good job of explaining exactly what has happened in Tennessee. They do look at some specific communities, but it's basically a numbers game. What we've had, the population growth that we've had in Tennessee has all been net migration, just people moving in. You know, one of the sad facts you look at across the Upper Cumberland, we only have one community, Putnam County, that have more births than they have deaths. Warren County is in that situation. You have more people dying than you have being born locally. But you're growing, aren't you? That growth is all people moving in from out of state or more expensive locations, and they're just driving up the cost of housing, and they're taking the available stock out there. So I'll give you that. You can take a look at that. The other document is one we're working on. So this is sort of a test case, so bear with me. You're the first ones we give this to. So if you've got any feedback, I'd love to hear it. What we've tried to do is sort of break down each community and sort of take a look at what it means in housing. And when we talk about housing, nobody really should be able to, or should be required to spend more than 1/3 of their income. That's generally the accepted practice. 30% to 33% of your income ought to go towards all your housing cost. When that gets out of balance, that puts a strain on everything else. And especially when you throw in for our younger families, childcare now is more expensive than college education. You see so many escalating costs. So if they're not at that 30% number, a young family is really going to struggle to get ahead. And what you see there in Warren County, we've looked at your population, we've looked at your income levels. Your average salary there from the manufacturing employees, so that's your key base. We gotta take care of them, don't we, Wendy? You're exactly right. Your manufacturing base has an average salary of $41,600 here in Warren County. At the average home price, they would have to make an additional $5,000 to afford the average home in Warren County. So that sort of, lays outside of what we're seeing there. You can take a look at that. If you got any feedback, I'd love to hear that. But that's really what's going on. The market prices have driven up higher than our wages have driven up. So we've got to add capacity. It's supply and demand. The more homes you have being built, the more apartment units you have being built, the more affordable they're going to become. So with that, if you have any questions on that, I'd be glad to answer. Otherwise, that's what I have for you tonight.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8B is consider a request to withdraw from the TDOT Multimodal Access Grant Project for the Locust Street intersection project upgrade.
This is a grant that we have had since 21, and TDOT come through a couple years ago and realigned the intersection, put in ADA compliant ramps and everything, and that's kind of what this grant here actually was gonna do, is realign the intersection. And the only thing is the crosswalk signals. That's the only thing that it really lacks that we didn't get. And I don't see how much it's costing to really be beneficial to the city to continue with this and to pay. It's a 80-20 match, but it's gonna cost a lot more than I think it will be worth. And I just asked if y'all would let me just cancel it. It's money that we have to spend, and money we have to put in the budget. Samantha would talk about that, how we gotta have that money in the budget to match, then we get reimbursed for it. So we'd have that money already in the budget for that, what we spent. And it's right now, it's still in design phase, and it's been since 21, been 4 years and ain't even got out design yet.
But that's all on TDOT?
Yeah, well, we have spent $10,370 so far for Griggs and Maloney to do their thing, planning and stuff.
Are we under contract to spend anything else with them?
There might be some more fees, ain't they?
Possibly, we don't have a final
Just-
number from them.
Yeah, we don't have a final number. We're waiting to see if we're canceling or not to get a final number from them.
I think it might be $12,000 more.
So what's taking so long on that? Like,
It's the state.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, just.
a lot of it, I mean, it's the state.
Yeah.
It's like this signalization that we're actually under construction. Well, it's fixing to be under construction in mid-August. I mean, it's been 8 years or so, at least, since we've had that grant.
I'll entertain a motion to approve Mr. Southard's request.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Carrie Morton.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sally Brock.
So, so the only thing we'd be getting, other than what we've already done, would be signals.
Yeah. I mean,
You
that's
just
it.
don't think we'd really,
I mean, that's the only other thing, because they've done put crosswalks across the street.
right,
They've squared the intersection up
Mhm.
and everything. That would be the only other thing that would get.
Is the required match in the budget for this fiscal year?
It ain't, is it?
I don't think
No.
so.
Yeah,
I
there's
think
no.
nothing in the budget this year for
Yeah.
that project, and we don't owe TDOT anything, because they haven't sent us any reimbursements back.
Yeah.
So we would just owe what is left for Griggs and Maloney, and then we would be done with the project. We could always go back and do the signalization ourselves.
Yeah.
Any further questions or discussion?
Do you have a rough estimate on what signalization would be if we just did ours?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Do we need a roll call vote on that?
I would say so.
Okay. We do have a motion and a second, so we'll call for the vote.
Sally Brock,
Yes.
Deidre Dunlap,
Aye.
Steve Harvey,
Yes.
Rachel Kirby,
Yes.
Carrie Morton.
Yes.
Carrie Youngblood,
Yes.
Mayor Chastain.
Aye, motion passes. Item 9 is resolutions. Item 9A is resolution number 2025-21, a resolution of the city of McMinnville to accept low bids for chemicals for the water and wastewater department as shown as Exhibit 1 of this resolution. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sally Brock,
Second.
second by Ms. Carrie Morton. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Sally Brock.
Yes.
Deidre Dunlap.
Aye.
Steve Harvey.
Yes.
Rachel Kirby.
Yes.
Carrie Morton.
Yes.
Carrie Youngblood.
Yes.
Mayor Chastain.
Aye, motion passes. Item 10 is ordinances. Item 10A is ordinance number 2025-10. This is the ordinance we discussed earlier about approving the annual budget and tax rate. This item will be deferred to the June 24th meeting. Item 10B is ordinance number 2025-11, an ordinance of the city of McMinnville to amend Title III of the McMinnville Municipal Court Code regarding municipal court costs and to express the time when the ordinance becomes effective. This is the first reading. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Carrie Morton,
Second.
second by Mr. Steve Harvey. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Sally Brock.
Yes.
Deidre Dunlap.
Aye.
Steve Harvey.
Yes.
Rachel Kirby.
Yes.
Carrie Morton.
Yes.
Carrie Youngblood.
Yes.
Mayor Chastain.
Aye, motion passes. Item 10C is ordinance number 2025-12, an ordinance of the city of McMinnville to amend ordinance number 2024-15 to adopt a new public notice and agenda policy and to set the time when the ordinance shall become effective. This is the first reading. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Ms. Sally Brock,
Second.
second by Ms. Carrie Morton. Nolan, can you give us some context on this?
Yeah, there's a new, Governor Lee signed Senate Bill 212, House Bill 885 into law. Now mandates that agendas for regular meetings of legislative bodies, planning commissions, utility boards, and Board of Zoning Appeals be made publicly available at least 48 hours in advance. We were already in compliance as far as the Board of Mayor and Aldermen goes, but for those others, we weren't. So we went ahead and updated our policy to comply with that. So that's all this is.
All right. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Sally Brock?
Yes.
Deidre Dunlap?
Aye.
Steve Harvey?
Yes.
Rachel Kirby?
Yes.
Carrie Morton?
Yes.
Kara Youngblood?
Yes.
Mayor Chastain?
Aye, motion passes. Item 11 is departmental reports. If anyone wishes to address the board, come on up.
Just a couple of items. The water treatment plant, site's been excavated, a lot more dirt. So, but that, we had like 12 inches of rain for last month,
Yeah.
and I'm surprised they're ahead of schedule. They're sitting back waiting on the drilling companies to come in now. So that project is moving on nicely, so. The CDBG project, the sewer rehabilitation project started today. They're actually pipe bursting from Hill Locust intersection back up toward Lynn. So that area there, they got the roads closed, so, they,
Do you have an estimation on when your part of your work's gonna be done? So the street paving?
well, it's all up to Portland, you know, there's one section.
Are they under a deadline or anything?
Yeah, they are, but that project, I mean, I think it may be 3 months,
Yeah.
give or take, you know. It just depends on, they had some issues today, but probably the hardest street is where they're at now.
Yeah.
So just bear with them and, you know.
Those folks have, on that street, I'm telling you, they have got to have a lot of patience because they're not up here having a fit all the time.
And then we'll do a section of Hill Street ourselves. We had to take some of that out with the budget, so, but anyway, it's going on, and they've got that one intersection that's dug up today, but when they get to Lynn, they're gonna have to basically dig that whole intersection up because it's deep right in that area, so, but, just wanted to give you all an update. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chief?
Just an update on the truck. I think you all know by now it's been delayed. We just received word this afternoon, late this afternoon, a couple hours before the meeting, probably gonna be pushed back to mid-July. I reached back out to see if there was a cause for the delay. I haven't heard anything yet, but as soon as I do, I'll keep you all posted. Just wanna give you an update on that. So.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Since Ricky and them's tearing up the road, I'll give you some good news.
Yeah.
Tinsley's in town paving some. They're paving Smith Street, North Smith Street, part of Boyd Avenue, Line Street, and Durham Street.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Before we meet again, I wanted to mention that Terry Beard has 7-8 boys state tournament, June 19th, 20th, and 21st at the complex. It's going to be a big deal. We'll have several different counties represented coming to our complex. So we're really excited about that, about showcasing our fields and what we have over there. Rainouts have been brutal for us, for the league this year, doing a lot of juggling, trying to get games in. Coaches have been great and understanding, but it's been tough. Gilly Pool's going great right now. Obviously, warm weather, sunshine brings them out. We're doing really good in attendance and concession sales, so we're really excited about that. Thank you.
You said 7 and 8 state?
7-8 boys, yes, sir.
What organization is it?
We're part of the Middle Tennessee Youth Baseball. It's Livingston, us, DeKalb County, Cannon County. There's about 5 or 6 different counties represented there.
Of a regional?
Yes, sir. Yep. We're excited about having that younger age group. Yes, ma'am.
So the fireworks are on, correct? Because
Yes,
there's
ma'am.
been some confusion as to whether we're having the fireworks or not, apparently.
Yes.
So fireworks are on.
Yes, we've met with First National Bank and Ben Lomond, and we've had that meeting and everything is set. Yes.
On the 4th.
On the 4th.
What time?
The fireworks will go off as normal, I think at 9. We'll have the Joe Harvey Band over there that night playing outside the Gilly Pool. The Gilly Pool will stay open an hour later that evening because of all the festivities going on.
Sounds
Thank you.
good. Thank you, sir.
All right. Mr.
Mr. Main, do you have anything?
I do not.
Mr. Pearl?
No.
If there's nothing else to come before the board, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you.